What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin Cash today, BCH USD. Shout out to the Dragon Riders. Here we are at about $593 with about 7 hours, 22 minutes left in the day on this, the 24th of January. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. What's this? Where did this come from? Why am I circling this? I don't even remember. Is this where we're going down to? Is that what the game plan is? I don't know where that circle came from. Hit that like button, subscribe. Let's get into it, okay? We're probably not going that low. Can we go lower? Can we go lower than this low here? It's possible, but I really don't think that we do. I'm very confident that that's the low. Yesterday, I made a call that we would drop down to about, I think I said 588 at the highest, and I think 570 at the lowest, if I'm not mistaken. And yesterday we did drop right down to about 585. I will say this happened faster than I originally assumed it would, which in my opinion does leave the door open to the idea that we could go lower still, because again, it's a 588 to 570 range. We absolutely can mess around with this range some more. Okay, get a lower low in here, right? We're getting lower highs. Like it could still happen. It's very possible. But with that being said, this is an acceptable low. We don't have to go below that low. So it puts me in this situation where, okay, well, it went to the area that we were calling for. It went there a little bit faster. Is there more to go, or is that the low? What do we call from here? What's the call? We need to change things up a little bit. So let's look at the 1 hour time frame. Let's look at the indicators and see what's going on here. Okay, looking at this, first and foremost, I will say not a lot of volume on the drop. Not a lot of volume at all. Not a lot of volume on the recovery either. It's a Saturday. There's not a lot going on here. Do we have any gaps? Are there any gaps that need filling? Let me just see over here. Because those gaps, man, they can be a good giveaway sometimes. They can give away the secrets of the charts. Oh my goodness, we have a gap. Look at it right there. There's a little gap right there. Does that mean Bitcoin Cash is going to go below $540? Maybe. I would be surprised. What would that do? 540. What would that do to the chart here? Hold on. I know I'm taking you guys all over the place, but just it's a journey. Let's have fun. From a low to a high. I mean, 540 would take you just below the 0.5 area. It's pretty common. It's a pretty common thing for Bitcoin Cash to do, honestly. I could see it. I could see it. I'm standing by it with this being the low. Not every gap gets filled, and that was a pretty small gap, right? You're reaching for straws there. That's not enough for me to be bearish, but I'm sticking with this being the low. If we do go lower, maybe we do fill that gap at 540. Perhaps we go to the golden ratio all the way down at 526, 510, whatever, but we'll come back up one way or another. I don't see that happening. I'm just saying if we do go lower, that would be the maybe the perceived outcome there. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame again and look at our indicators. What are they telling us here? Bearish, bearish, somewhat bullish, but bearish. I'm not impressed. I would say bearish overall. 4 hour time frame looks bearish to me. Yeah, you rejected the overbought zone, where before you were kind of getting into it. Before that, you were actually getting into it, getting some consistent readings into it. Now it's just this thing that you haven't, you're attempting to get to, but you can't. You're struggling, so you're probably going to come back down. Stochastics are bearish. The MACD is somewhat bullish here as well. However, an overall kind of bearish perspective on it nonetheless. Even though we're above the zero, this still could be a quote-unquote bearish rejection of the zero if we come back down. So I'm not really swayed by this. I think it's bearish on all accounts, so we're likely going to come down. Does that mean that we go below this low? It doesn't mean that we go below this low. It just means we come down. We can come down like this, and then boom, we're done. I don't know, though. I don't know. Let's see. Let's look at the daily time frame. Maybe there's something the daily's telling us that I haven't seen and I should have seen. I mean, first and foremost, we did break out of our uptrend. It was kind of an uptrend, right? With higher lows. We didn't really have higher highs. We just had like flat highs, but still. We broke out of that. Rejected the overbought zone. We haven't seen the oversold zone yet. Could we get oversold? If we did get oversold, what would that mean for the price? We'd definitely take out that low. So we would definitely see something around like 525 to 540. I mean, it makes sense. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen. It makes sense, right? overall, I would say we're in a more positive environment. I should even say neutral environment, but overall, pretty positive environment with the RSI. Pretty neutral right now. The stochastics are positive. The stochastics would say to the idea of going lower than this low, that's poppycock. We're moving up, man. This is the beginning of more to come. The low is in. The MACD also kind of suggests that as well, saying, hey, man, we're at a low point. We're at an area to bounce. So with that being said, I'd like to revert back to my original thinking from yesterday and say that maybe today, maybe tomorrow, hell, maybe even Monday, they're all red days, but very minor red days. We move down, but we're not moving below this low. We go from the 50 rejection to 40 support, and then we move up from there. That's that. That's my expectation. I still hold true to that. I think that we will see very slight red days over the next 48 hours. And then we should be moving up after that. I think next week, going into the end of the month, and then opening up February might be exciting. Here's something I want to do. Let's just go back. We're in January now. Let's go back to January of last year. Okay. Let's see what we did from... Should we do the last third? Let's do the last third of the month. Let's do from the 21st to the 31st. So, hold on. Just hear me out. Okay. 21st. Would this work? It's not going to work because everything's thrown off. That's not going to work. That's okay. Let me just do this. I want to see if we go here, like the last 10 days of every month. Something like that. We'll just go on the 20th there. March 21st, April 21st, whatever. We'll somewhere around there. I have a purpose. I wanted to do it the cyclic lines. It would have been way, 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 way quicker. But the cyclic lines would have thrown us off a little bit. So I'm trying to accommodate for that here. I'm not being super accurate. I'm just trying to get the rough estimates here. Getting it on the 20th, 22nd, somewhere in that kind of time frame. And just see what happened to price for Bitcoin Cash. Right? After this point here, well, going into the end of the month, you didn't really pump too much. You just kind of moved sideways, and then you dumped in the beginning of the month. Okay. Here we did dump going into the end of the month, and then we pumped going into the beginning of the month. Here we dumped going into the end of the month, and we pumped going into the beginning of the month. So here I'm going to do this. Let's take this all the way. Here we did not dump, so I'll circle it. Here we did dump, so I'll put a line there. Here we did dump, I'll put a line there. Here we did not dump, so I'll circle it. Here we did dump, so I will put a line there. A little bit of dumping, but not really. Here we pumped. So I will put an X here. Because that's odd, that's different, right? Here we actually pumped as well going into the end of the month. 2 pumps in a row. And then here we dumped a little bit going into the end of the month there. Here we dumped and pumped. We can just circle it, I guess. You were up from the point of that point, though, by the end of the month, weren't you? No, you weren't. You're just moving sideways. So we'll circle it. I know I'm making up my own language here, but just hold on, okay? Just hold on. Pumped here, X. Pumped here, I would say, more or less. Yeah. Pumped here, X. Okay, so this is encouraging. See, I didn't think that I'd see this. So I just drew lines down if we moved down. I circled it if we were neutral, and then I gave them X's if we moved up afterwards. We actually have quite a bit of X's. I thought that it was going to be a lot of lines to the downside. So what I'm trying to get to here is, and this I probably lost a lot of you already, is just what does Bitcoin Cash's price action typically look like at the end of the month? I thought I'd see more consistencies, but not really. Not really. Pretty inconsistent, and statistically speaking, if we're looking at it, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 instances out of the last 12 months, 4 instances where we went down. So you have about a third of a chance to go down. 3 instances where we moved sideways. And then another 4 instances where we went up. Or no, sorry, 5 instances where we went up. So technically, statistically speaking, the most probable outcome for this point from like the 20th, 22nd, and on to the end of the month would be a pump. Statistically speaking, Bitcoin Cash is more likely to move up into the end of the month than down into the end of the month. That was just my own curiosity, and I let it loose. And it took a while to come full circle with that. But at the end of the day, my friends, all that really did was just kind of help reinforce the idea that I don't think we're going to dump below this low. It's a possibility, right? We addressed it. We made sense out of it. It could definitely happen. And if Bitcoin Cash goes to like 520, 540, somewhere in that area, we will buy more. It's not a problem. It's definitely not a problem. But it's something we should address nonetheless. Even with that addressing of this potential scenario, I believe that this is the low. I believe we don't go below there. I believe we're at 592 now, and we probably do go somewhere between about 585 and 570, probably. We find support, move down over the next couple of days, and then, starting next week, starting early next week, maybe Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, we should be recovering and moving up higher going into the end of the month. That's the expectation. Statistically speaking, that is backed by what we've seen over the past 12 months of price action. We are most likely going to pump going into the end of the month. That doesn't mean we have to, but using everything else in culmination with that, I think our chances are good. Anyways, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.